I'm turning us up, and I'm turning y'all up, and greetings and salutations, travelers. Welcome back to the Inn of Planar Crossroads. And it is our channel this time because we are actually talking about monster spotlights this time for CR13 to 14. And before we get into that, before anything else happens, disclaimer. This is an adult podcast, and some of the adults use adult language. You have been warned.
Thanks, Dad. Well, Kane's not here. He's usually the worst, so we should be fine.
The Pathfather is spoken. Blame all the F-bombs on the Canadians. There you go.
Yep, for sure.
Because when they're not here to defend themselves, they're too nice to refute it when they get back. Not that he probably would anyway. But, yeah. All right. Like I said, we're going to start off with the CR 13 to 14. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Just for those interested, if you like what you see here and you would like to contribute to the productions of the channels, whether that's this channel, the Inn of Planar Crossroads, or Black Dragon Gaming, who 3 of the members are joining us, you can do that on the Patreons. And Patreon can be found in the doobly-doo below. So you can look there if you wish, and there will be the links. For the giveaway, for the next subscriber appreciation one-shot at the Inn of Planar Crossroads, it's going to be at 200. Colin's going to run it. Should be fun if you want to get in on that. Once we hit 200 subscribers, that will be the giveaway. The monthly giveaway for this month, which is March, is going to be a Vivek thing, a Vivek one. Let me see. I think I got it right here. Yeah. Hold on. Noise. It is a Vivek Funko Pop. There you go.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah. So
you got it for half price.
What is that from?
Vivek is from the Elder Scrolls. He is one of the Dark Elf gods.
Oh,
I haven't played Morrowind that much.
Oh, Morrowind! I remember him now.
He's one of the Tribunal. So
my favorite thing in Morrowind was just to try to kill the god figures if I could, because technically you could if you get powerful enough gear and do the necessary steps in theory.
And then live on forever in that broken world.
Yes.
Well, you can do that now in your D&D, Pathfinder, and or other tabletop games by having this Vivek vinyl pop. Just set it on the board and say, there you go. Try and kill it. Because I
will say that is strictly better than the one time we needed an Asmodeus, and so we grabbed someone's fox piggy bank. It was size category colossal, but still, like, here's a dorky fox thing.
There you go.
No offense, Colin.
Just use him as a stand-in. A stand-in. But that's what's going to be given away this time. Sarah from Black Dragon Gaming won last month's giveaway, which was a splat book. They have yet to get with me on what splat book, but they won a splat book.
Ooh.
The new series, I've announced several times that the new series we have coming out right now is The Misadventures in the Southern Colony. That's with me and my son. It is an audio cast or a podcast, not no visual, except for a little map that I keep up for people that want to have it. I may add in a picture or two later on for the different locales, but other than that, I don't see me putting a lot into that as far as editing and visuals, because it's meant to be more of a fun thing. He doesn't have a board either. It's all theater of the mind, so should be fine for you guys if it's fine for him. Check us out at the St. Louis Comic-Con. If you want to see us walking around there, you can say, hey, I know you from YouTube. We will be legitimately surprised if someone does that. So if you want to really surprise us, show up at the St. Louis Comic-Con that's being held in St. Charles and say, hey, I know you from Facebook. Our minds will go like, someone actually saw us. So there we go.
My ego trip for the year.
There you go. All right. That's all we've got for now. let's get started. So, we have 4 people today, so we're rolling a d4. I have it right here. And Tommy, you're first.
Tommy's first. All right. Am I doing both of mine right now, or am I doing just the 13?
We can do both.
Alrighty. So my CR13 pick is kind of like, it's powerful, but it's also, I'm choosing it today for those of us who rules as written animal companions out there, because it's, from that point of view, super incredibly super powerful. So powerful it's banned in society. That tells you anything. It comes from the splat book Belkzen Hold of the Orc Hordes, and it is the War Cat of Roll, or you find it on D20 PFSRD as just the War Cat, because Roll is the I think that's the Orc Storm God. I forget off the top of my head. They're all kind of the same, but this thing is essentially its size category huge, and it's essentially a tiger that's covered in like armadillo skin essentially, and I'm using a Warcat in the Rise of the Rune Lords run we're doing on IOPC. I think it was Alex that called it a crocodile first, and that's basically what it is. It just looks like a big old scary crocodile tiger. These things are so powerful and so big that in their flavor text entry, they're known to hunt young dragons, megafauna, giants, things like that, and they have the ability to back it up. Their will save, I mean, it's an animal, so its will save is going to be real bad, but it does have an armor class of 28, and that comes entirely from its plus 16 natural armor bonus. Well, it has a little bit of dex, but it's mostly just the fact that this dude is a walking tank, and that's the lure of picking him as an animal companion for druids, hunters, rangers, etc. Because they get all the same stuff a tiger gets, except they get way humongous natural armor bonuses. Like, we just leveled to 6 in Rise of the Rune Lords, and my Warcat in armor is pushing a 30 AC, and that seems really, really strong for just like a throwaway animal companion, essentially. They're kind of like, they don't get a lot of stuff you'd expect to see on a cat too, which is why I like them. For example, they have a climb speed of 20 feet. They don't have rake, but they do have rend, which I think is a little bit better because you'll do more damage with it. They also have trample if you decide to go that route with them, and because they're cats, of course, they have pounce. That's what makes them super powerful.
And
on
to
top
clarify,
of the,
we are talking about the huge level monster.
yeah, we are. The animal companion only ever gets like pounce and rake and grab, I think, which is weird. But the monster has essentially, it's just this big walking tank that you throw at people, and it'll get 3 attacks that do quite a bit of damage, and it takes up a lot of space, and it has probably a really good stealth score. No, its stealth is bad, never mind. But it can go up. The reason I like it is it has a climb speed, and I used to do this mostly with like spiders and stuff, but like if here's your wall, it can go up here and then down on people. And it's also described as like, it's called a Warcat of one of the orc gods because orc clans will catch these guys as cubs and train them as mounts. So, and this will be next week, I imagine, where we talk about how to like effectively use mooks in high CR encounters, because you really need them. I imagine this guy doesn't show up alone unless like you stumble into his territory. It's more a case of like, here come a bunch of orcs that are rioting this thing, or have just like are behind it with the whip, essentially, as it like goes after you for food while they're still attacking you. And that, like, the flavor text makes its entry all the stronger because an orc will hold up, just like bestiary 1 orc with half a hit dice or whatever will hold up at CR13 because they have ferocity and they still hit like a truck for what they are. These guys, they need a little bit of rebuild. Perhaps they have power attack and cleave, which that's usually enough, but you might want to give them we can't really give them Furious Focus, but you could give them Vital Strike. You could give them any of the other feats to make them a little better, but even if you don't, their strength score is 35 and their base attack is 12, so power attack has ticked up 4 times, so the bite would do 2d6 plus 24, and the claws would do 1d8 plus 20, which will tear through a lot of people really fast, to say nothing of the rend, which is I think 1d8 plus 25. I might be doing the math wrong there, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And this guy at size category huge with a CMB of plus 26 will probably grab somebody. And again, if he doesn't, all the dudes with falchions behind him will probably figure it out. And again, I also am picking this guy because, like, for the player who has to use rules as written animal companions, the Warcat is really strong and really cool. So yeah, that is my 13. My 14 is 3.5. So you'll have to forgive me on that one, but it does come from I forget which adventure path it comes from because I'm looking at it in D20 PFSRD, not Archives of Nethys. I will really quickly. It is called the Dance Macabre. I think it comes from not Rise of the Rune Lords, but the one after it. I think it comes.
It is from a venture path after that.
Yeah, I just can't think of what it's called.
Carrion Crown.
Carrion Crown. Yeah, that's it. It's from Carrion Crown, and it's I like it because it kind of plays the role of like what shadows do. And again, shadows are still, and I'm a little biased because that was my 2 Saturdays ago, but shadows will always hold up no matter what because no one likes strength drain. The Dance Macabre is it is described as a bunch of ghostly figures swirling and cavorting, floating through the air as if they're dancing. And amidst the crowd of them, there's a guy cloaked, wielding a scythe, like floating at you to essentially come and take your soul away. They have an ability called Dance of Death, which says if you get within 40 feet of them and you are a living creature, I bet you probably are, you have to make a DC 25 will save, and on that failed save, you join the ghost dancers, you take 1d4 points of con drain, and you're affected by a spell you don't normally see, at least not on undead, called Irresistible Dance. Usually, like, when I think Irresistible Dance, I think more like I wandered into a Fey court and I made a sprite, like, fussy or something. But this guy has it, and it'll put a neg4 on your armor class, a neg10 on your reflex save, and it you provoke attacks of opportunity each round on your turn because you just dance around all the time. So what happens is you come in, you fight this thing, you succumb to the save, and you probably, someone will at this level. It's not an impossible save, 25 at CR14, but like, again, like the lower the point buys go, or like depending on the party composition, someone will probably fail it. And when they fail it, they're dancing around, they provoke from, this is another issue where like you'd want mooks, and those mooks I feel would be shadows or some other kind of lesser undead. Shadows if you're feeling mean, because the shadow just has a strength drain, you're dead.
Drain everything.
But, oh yeah, and this thing will drain you too, because it has a reach of 10 feet with a reach of 10 feet with an incorporeal scythe that does 2d6 plus nothing, but it also does 1d4 points of con drain, so you can't defend yourself. You provoke from this thing, it swings, you're taking con drain. You took con drain from the Dance of Death, and you just end up staying like locked up forever. This thing does have combat reflexes because it is smart. It also has improved initiative, so it can probably set up before you're ready. What is my initiative score, I wonder? Plus 11, yeah, that's not as amazing as it could be, but it's really solid. And I imagine we have a fly speed of 40 perfect, so even if you just double move into the midst of the party, that's not bad. This thing also, it can notice any creature that's alive within 60 feet of it, as if it had blind sight, and it can sense the strength of life forces as per the spell Death Watch. The kind of, I guess, is not the kicker, because at CR14, the cleric has this in his back pocket, but the Dance Macabre can't be killed normally. It has an ability called Deathless, which says if it gets reduced to 0 hit points, it disappears, but 1d4 days later, it comes back at full hit points. To go around this, you destroy it, and then you cast Hollow to consecrate the site where it manifested. That will stop it from coming back. Again, the cleric has that in his back pocket at this point, but a lot of parties just don't, and you can just continue chasing these guys around. Also kind of like, I guess when the party least expect it might be a good time, especially like in an intrigue game, if they're just like hanging out in the middle of the town and suddenly everyone is dancing. Oops, you're in trouble. and
Well,
that's why I like this guy.
yeah,
Hmm?
just imagine if it showed up during a certain festival of strawberries and cream. You know,
Yeah, for sure. I'm
but
not going to
then,
talk about it in detail, but I guess I should. I'll shout out the Sepid div as well because I used that in Lord of the Caliber a couple weeks ago, and it was fun to like. I knew I wasn't going to kill the party at CR7 with my CR14 outsider, but it is fun to play it. It has a lot of fun abilities, and it's super cool. But those are my two for this conversation: the Warcat of Roll and the Dance Macabre.
Tommy, I had a look at the pit afterwards. I am impressed by what it could do potent potentially with all the spells it have.
Oh yeah, that thing was just toying with you guys.
Hmm.
all right. Okay, let's see who's next. Well, looks like we're going down the line. Donald, you're next.
Okay, this is one of my favorite monsters in the bestiary entry, and it's probably a old one. I forgot to put the link in. Oh, my monster of choice for CR13, it's the Glabrezu. This is a pretty interesting demon to use as a NPC or as a end villain at a campaign. The Glabrezu have pretty good AC of 28. Touch AC it is terrible. A good amount of hit points. If you're using a low point buy like 10 or 15, the Glabrezu, even a party that prepared to fight it, it's a challenge upon itself with minions if you use the minions properly. It have about 200 hit points, the typical demon immunities, resistances, and it can do a good amount of damage when it comes to it reach out to 15 feet. 2d8 plus 10 and have a plus 20 to hit for the two pincers. It have constant effect true seeing at will, powers, chaos hammer, good for the lawful characters of the party, confusion, dispel magic, mirror image, reverse gravity, greater teleport, veil, so it can hide its appearance to be something else, which I will talk about that later. Unholy blight, once per day, power word stun, that is quite neat to use on the party members. It have a summon monster ability to summon more monsters. And this is the catcher, which I like the Glabrezu and the other more specific evil outsiders. It have the wish ability. As the NPC, if you use the veil ability, this monster could in theory convince the party to use his services to get a party wish granted for free. Generally, the lore behind Glabrezu when it comes to wish granting is when it comes to mortals, it generally the Glabrezu twisted in a way that it benefit him somehow. So for the example, for a blacksmith that want to make excellent weapons, a serial killer or an evil person would use their weapons to do evil deeds to advance their own goals in life. A person that lost a loved one, the demon would resurrect the lost one as a vampire. So you can see how a GM can easily use a Glabrezu wish spell for a party potentially. A lot of fun to be had. It's This is more of a martial type of demon. As long as you use all of its feats properly and minions, this is quite powerful. Monster, it have cleave, greater cleave, improve critical, persuasive, power attack, and vital strike. So if it hits something, it's going to be doing a lot of damage. So with a plus 20 to hit, and on average, a D20, you get a D10. So a 30, you're going to hit the tanky party members reliably enough most of the time if you're using flanking properly. It have a bunch of skills which make it pretty nice. It have excellent bluff, diplomacy, intimidate, general knowledge, perception, sense, motive. So this creature can easily know what people want and appeal to their nature to use their wish powers to help people out. So, yeah, the Glabrezu, it's a fun NPC and monster to use in a campaign. Just like the Omex and the Hezru demon, demons are quite fun, especially for flavor and what they can do once you get past CR13 for them.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And what about 14?
Okay, for me, I go with a aberration called the Veil Master. The Veil Master, he's a lawful evil monster, which is best to be used as a villain. The way how I see a Veil Master being used in a long-term campaign, he would be a significant NPC, such as a powerful wizard or a quest giver to the party. Eventually, the party find the quest giver or the wizard. He is the aberration that used the party for his own goals. So being a CR14 monster, he have pretty good AC. AC 30, hit points 200. 200 for hit points, good saves across board, have the typical aberration immunities and resistances. It have many attacks, which is pretty nice. Bite, it have the consume memory and slime effect. Claws, doing damage plus slime. Tentacles, which is a touch AC attack, which do electricity plus salt lance. It reach is up to 10 feet or 20 feet using its claws and tentacles. So if people want to use their free action to move back 5 feet, it's going to hit them no matter what. It's have a nice selection of powers it get to use based upon the aberration you're using. You can easily swap out the spells. This is effectively like a level 12 sorcerer, effectively. So based upon the aberration, you just change these spells out to suit them more.
Yeah, this
It
thing looks
have
horrible to fight.
Yes, this is why you generally use him as a monster villain at the end of the campaign. It have a terrible lance speed, but if it change form, it can move 30 feet. It's generally best to face the Veil Master in a water environment, which it get to use its swim speed 80 feet plus other aberrations. And then you have water combat rules as well. And if a party is not prepared to fight the Veil Master in his water domain, they're gonna have a hard time, especially with all of these spells effects. It have decent stats across the board. It is about 20 or over 20, so it's quite sturdy when it comes to combat. For feats, Arcane Strike, which is pretty nice if you need to use that. Combat Casting, Combat Expertise, Askew Material, Extend Spell, Improve Initiative, Lightning Reflex, Quicken Spell like ability, Dominate Person. So Dominate Person is great if you want to use it on someone who you know have a terrible will save. By this point, you genuinely would know, as a GM, the wizard or whoever it take the form of would know people generally saves or what they're good at. So someone terrible will save, use them against the party. It have a decent amount of languages, Abilis, Akko, Aquin, Common, Undercommon, but you can easily switch that out for any languages appropriate for the campaign. With a change shape ability, any small or medium creature, so you can easily encounter the same Veil Master over and over again with using the Greater Polymorph ability. It is like certain monsters that have the illusion ability to change form, and you meet them again and again.
Yeah, this thing looks really mean. I gotta say, also the slime ability. If you use that right, that could be just as bad as being in the water because you just like you get them in the water, you slime them. They stop being able to breathe air, but they can breathe water. And I don't know what my CMB is on this thing, but I imagine we can probably like telekinesis them out of the water. and just like throw them into the land, and then they suffocate.
The one spell that made them breathe water, not air. Unless if you prepare to remove that effect, that's quite damaging to a character, especially if it's permanent.
Oh yeah, that's rough. I've kind of fought aboleths at like across my nerddom, I guess, and they've never really been that like that impressive. I think that's why and I guess kind of spoilers for the ruins of Aslant AP, the Aslanti are gonna fight aboleths at some point, and most of those aboleths have class levels to back that up. But this thing is super powerful.
Yeah,
the suggestion that it casts as well, the delayed suggestion is caster level 20th.
Yeah.
So
this thing, you know what it feels like? It feels like this feels like Nyarlathotep is what it feels like.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, it kind of does. I like it.
If you use all the abilities properly, even before a fight, the party is going to be at a disadvantage potentially if they fail their saves. And generally, I like the lore about the aberrations and the aboleths, especially the aberration that is from H.P. Lovecraft work.
Oh yeah, man! If you use these delayed suggestions right, you can just TPK the party with the party when that encounter starts. Just have like the caster hold person somebody, and then somebody else coup de grace. Just turn into a huge mess, or even like, and it's not outside of the like realm of possibility in Pathfinder for the whole party to be casters, because there's a lot of casting classes. So just have everybody hold person themselves and voluntarily fail to save, because you can do that, and then just start coup de grace. This is super nuts. I really like it.
Monsters after CR13 and 14, they get to be pretty fun for a GM to use all their abilities in a campaign if you use them right.
For sure.
Even the aboleths here have touch of idiocy, which is which for casters, that is quite an important stat to have.
Yeah, Lucy knows all about touch of idiocy now.
Yes, I have it on my wizard spells list, but never had the opportunity to use it. I have like over 500 spells in all of my wizard's tome, so I'm not going to be using all of them, which is a shame. But it's nice to have all those if I need to prep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yes, the Veil Master. It's a powerful creature if you use it right.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, it could just walk around however it wanted to, because it's got that chain shape. But yes,
very solid. Generally, their lore, they live a very, very long time, so they get to influence the world. So you get to play that part up as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to have that mysterious old magic user, but you didn't want them to be a dragon, like is done a bit more often, you could have them be a veiled master and say, "Oh, well, now you've got to fight this thing that's going to probably wipe the floor with you."
Yeah, the Veil Master would actually enjoy a fight because at the CR they're at, they actually enjoy a challenge. So I could imagine living 1,000 upon 1,000 years and not encountering something that is the actual threat. So this is probably a nice gift to the Veil Master, potentially, for the party, to them.
Yep. He trains them up himself so that he can be challenged. Yeah. All right. I liked that one very much. Time to roll again. It's just myself and Joe. So let's see. It's me. So that means Joe goes after me. All right. So what I've got for my 13 is not really getting picked for mechanics. It's getting picked because it fits with the Vermin Lord. It fits with the Might Vermin Lord. It is the Azru Verda. The Azru Verda is a humanoid head peers forth from this enormous creature's beautifully iridescent, spike-covered beetle carapace. So it basically looks like a a beetle that has a human head and face, and it's chaotic good. It's weird because it's an aberration that's chaotic good. You don't see a lot of aberrations that are good anything, but it's a chaotic good aberration. And so in my little headcanon, this thing, it has the Vermin Master ability. So in my little headcanon, for the Might, the reason that he turned good is because he was shunned by everyone except an Azruverda, and met an ash giant also. And they became an unlikely grouping of fellow individuals. So that's kind of an encounter thing, but it's not. The creature itself isn't that bad. It's got 168 hit points with 25 as its AC. That's not bad. I mean, it's not super awesome, but it's not bad. But it's a chaotic good creature, so it's debatable on whether it would fight with your PCs or not. It has Dark Vision 60, Tremor Sense 100, and Perception of plus 22. So it's not going to be surprised, very likely. And DR10 over Magic and Slashing. So it has to be Magic and Slashing. It's immune to acid, resists cold 10. Nothing spectacular, like I said, mechanically. But it has a few things. Its bite is probably going to hit somebody. It's got a plus 21 to it. But it's not going to do a whole bunch of damage at this level, comparatively speaking. Same for its claws. They get a plus 21 as well. Now, its acid spit, because it has Tremor Sense up to 100 feet, its acid spit's not that bad of an ability, because it's got a plus 13 to touch, and it does 10d6 acid. So that's probably where you want to be using this one if you're going to use it as something that's against the party. Keep them at distance.
At 10d6, that's like a fireball per turn, pretty much.
Yeah, this thing doesn't have a limit to his acid that I can see. An Azruverda can spit a stream of acid at a target within 60 feet as a ranged touch attack that deals 10d6 of acid damage. That's a single person that can be targeted with their own personal fireball that has no save at this level. That can start to get devastating. If you, say that rogue is like, oh, I'll just reflex out of that fireball. It's a touch attack. Now, they usually have good touch, so that's not super, super scary for them. But even those ones that have good reflex saves, they could probably make it. They could probably not have to worry about it because they have usually a good touch AC. But that is not always the case. So you got to know your party a little bit. These things are fairly intelligent. They're more intelligent than your average human. They're going to have an int of 14. So you got to remember, when you're dealing with ints of 20, you're going to be geniuses, like super geniuses. So an int of 14 means that they're very smart. They're not going to be dumb. They're not going to do stupid stuff. And their CMDs and CMBs are not that bad. They could bull rush. If somebody gets too close, they bull rush them away and then acid spit them, or bull rush them off a cliff because they've got a climb speed and you don't necessarily. So they could do some stuff. They could do some neat things, and they have that Vermin Master ability. So they're not. I would not use these guys alone. If I was going to use them as a GM, I would definitely do it with a swarm of some kind that kind of hovered around it, so that anybody that did get close would have to deal with the swarm as well. You would have magic to deal with that and be done with it, but it could still be problematic for the group. Let me see, what else was worth mentioning? Oh, it has both Bull Rush, it has greater Bull Rush and improved Bull Rush, which means it's not going to take attacks of opportunity if it decides to bowl someone over off a cliff or down a ravine in the Underdark. And it has point-blank shot, so even if someone does get close, they could spit in its face the acid and do no damage to anybody else because there's no splash damage. So this paladin gets right up in its face and it's like, and all of a sudden that paladin has to take fireball damage. Doesn't get to save against it with his charisma to his reflex save. He just has to take it because you are very, very likely to hit a full-fledged paladin that's in his full armor with his touch AC, especially at this level.
It have a nice feat, awesome blow as well.
Mm-hmm. And you see that we've started to see awesome blow come up on. I think it started to appear around CR10. But yeah, it's definitely useful to have especially if you want to focus in with that bull rush, because that awesome blow can apply. So that's what I have, and they're usually peaceful and serene. So maybe you stumble into their area and they're just like, nope, out you go, and they try to drive you off. But I like it as both an NPC and a challenge because it has that acid spit ability.
It had the giant vermin spell, so I could imagine the vermin lord being friends with a vermin to make bigger vermin. Especially if the Azurda choose to be evil and choose to use vermin to act his revenge out.
Yeah. There you go. Okay, I got to get to the next one, which I'm going to have to try and pull up in a different screen. So I will try and get over there for everybody that's going to try and follow along. But it is on the PFSRD. It is the Akaruzug. The Akaruzug is, it looks funny. Its stat block looks really funny on the PFSRD, so that's why I'm pulling it up in the adventure path that it comes from, for those that want to look at it. See if I can get it to come up on the computer. I have the PDF pulling up. Looks like it can, so I'm going to stick it over here. And, whoa, way down below. Close. Almost there. And bestiary, there we go. So the Akaruzug is a grim statue, quietly hovers here, its slow, seemingly weightless bobbing belying its obvious bulk. Sculpted in the shape of a grim horned angel, gigantic wings and terrible long clawed arms jut from its legless body that tapers into a blunt, blade-like trunk. Upon the ominous form's breast hang the fresh remains of a crucified corpse. So, this thing, very flavorful to start with, which is why I really picked it, but it is a large construct. So it's not going to be too big, but it's not going to be too small. It's going to be any kind of medium creature could be crucified upon it. And that actually plays into what it does. It's got an AC of 29, normal stuff for that type of thing. Its hit points aren't super impressive, but I always max out hit points, so it doesn't matter. DR15 good, and it has construct traits, because it is basically just a construct that focuses on using the soul of the person crucified. So, coming on down, it has a special quality called Soul Engine, and the creature draws the energy it requires to function from a living creature crucified upon its frame, and it basically acts like magic jar. The soul is sealed within, and this construct uses it to fuel itself. It has 2 claws, and keep in mind this is a CR14. It has 2 claws that are a plus 33 to hit. 2 claws that are a plus 33 to hit. I think that even Kazakhad would be hit by a plus 33 at some point. And it has 2 wing slams, and it has a body slam. Both of those get 28. So yeah, I mean, stuff could get real quick. The coming on down, that you can free the body, but it's better to magically free it, because there becomes a problem if you try to get too close to this thing. If you are able to destroy it or remove the body, it releases the soul that's restrained within it. So that's let me get through the rest of the stat block, and we'll go through that. It also has Soul Slave. Using the soul trapped within its frame, and Akaruzag can manifest ghostly representations of its victim to attack its enemies as a standard action. This could be fun. And I'm not going to spoil anything, because I'm probably going to use this guy next time we come around to the encounters next week, because this can start to get really fun.
I could imagine using Soul Slave in a Lich lair. Fun time for everyone.
Yeah, and it has Soul Steal, so once every 1d4 rounds, not days, rounds, the construct can unleash a blast of soul essence that seeks to fleece the life force from any living creature within 20 feet. Excuse me. All living creatures in the area must make a DC 26 Fortitude save or gain 1d4 negative levels. Okay. A DC 26 Fortitude save. If this thing got close to one of your casters, yeah, that could get problematic.
That's a construct. This construct, I could imagine if Lucia ever get back to the X and she needs to make a wizard's tower, she's going to make one of these, because they are awesome.
Yes. And it also has an Unhallow ability. It has an Unhallow aura, which is a spell-like quality, that in 40-foot aura of unholy energy surrounds it, as per the Unhallow spell. So it basically has that Unhallow spell going up all the time, and it can benefit from that spell's abilities. And it's tied to the aura at the time of creation, if any additional spell effects are tied to the Arcus at the time of creation. So you could have it where it has darkness, or detect good, or freedom of movement, or invisibility purge around it all the time, if you so desired. And there's a lot more in the AP. If you want to go and look it up, it is the Akaruzug. Definitely a sweet creature, in my opinion. If you're going for a construct of any kind that you want to put in a Lich lair, or in a lair of undeath at all, doesn't even have to be undeath. Could be any kind of baddie, because it's a lawful evil construct. I thought that one was pretty nice. So that is my CR14.
Evil constructs, they get to be pretty fun to play them out.
Mm-hmm. And now we come to Joe.
All right. So, while D20 PFSRD is having a little conniption, my CR13, there it is, that I chose is kind of a badass. I feel like it should be CR13. I feel like this fucker needs to be higher in this CR, really. That's the Bandersnatch, the lesser. What? So let's just start out with the fact that it's neutral. It's huge. It's a magical beast. So your pallies aren't getting anything on it. But this thing is definitely freaking evil. Its initiative is plus 11, which I pointed out. Tommy was talking about how plus 11 isn't as high as it could be, but I mean that's the best we can hope for in a pre-constructed creature. I mean, come on now. Its senses are amazing. Like, again, this thing should not be CR13. It's got blind sense, 120 feet. So forget perky invisibility. Get out of here, Adam, with your spells. I can sense it. Dark vision, 120 feet. Low light vision, just who cares? Scent, and a perception of plus 23. Its AC 29, pretty nice. Its touch is poop because it's huge. It's flat-footed. It's 24, which is pretty respectable for the fact that it has plus 5 dex. So if you catch it flat-footed, you might hit it. I mean, you probably are CR13. And this guy is definitely not going to have mooks. He may have mooks. He may have a couple of like weird, like creepy creatures. This guy's from like Northern American, like hoax mythology. Like I believe this guy was made in the like early 1900s in like Minnesota or like on the Canadian border by someone who wanted to bring more business to their town. It's kind of like to describe it really quickly to go back because I feel I'm pressed for time, but I'm just going to slow down here. 6 legs, kind of looks like a beaver, mixed with a porcupine, mixed with a spider. Well, not a spider, mixed with like a ladybug, I guess. And its eyes glow with a blue light. It's crazy. So yeah, 6 legs, like a beaver and a porcupine. They weren't supposed to be huge. Originally, it was just like the guy took a beaver corpse and made it taxidermy and put some like barbs on it. But going back to it, it has 266 hit points and fast healing 10. Not regeneration. So if you cut off a limb, it's going to lose that limb forever. But it's got fast healing 10. So it doesn't exactly like die quickly, if you know what I'm saying. It's got a fortitude of plus 15, a reflex of plus 16, and for a magical beast with an intelligence of 2, it has a pretty nice will save because it devotes some of its feats to Iron Will. It has a plus 9. It has some abilities that we'll talk about, defensive abilities. It's immune to fear, paralysis, poison, and sleep. So no slumber hex, no like paralysis effects, and there's no. My favorite thing I love to do is the fearmonger builds where I scare someone and then I hit them for free. Then I scare them again and I continue to hit them for free. So no fearmongering. Now it's a huge beast, which probably explains why it has a speed of 60 feet, which is crazy. Just for the fact that it's faster than a horse, so you can't outrun it on a horse unless you've got a special horse. It has a climb speed of 20 feet, so you can't hide in trees in forests where it likes to live anyways. It's melee, what Adam was talking about, his stuff, like it's not to write home about, but it does have a lot of attacks. It has a bite that does its maximum it can do is 19 damage plus grab. That's okay. 2 claws, the maximum it can do is 30 there if both claws hit. Plus it has a rend and a rake. It has tail slap, which crits times 3, and it does this thing called pain, which we'll talk about in a second. And the max it can do is 22. What's really nice is it has 4 ranged attacks. Which are at plus 20 and can do a maximum of 15. If we hit all 4, then it's going to do 60 damage, and they crit 19 to 20. Along with that, those 2 claws also crit 19 to 20, which it has some nice feats that go along with that. Is bleeding critical, which is 2d6 points of bleed, and it has tiring critical, which ends your barbarian's rage, which is pretty nice. So you might want to use that if you're playing against some barbarians. It has a reach of 15 feet, 20 with its tail slap. So it's pretty nice. And we'll put this all into like context. It has bounding charge, so it can move through difficult terrain because it lives in forests. Brutal tail, which is just explains why it has critical hit stuff and why it has such high attack rolls. It can add 1.5 times its strength on attack rolls with its tail. It has a gaze attack, so it's kind of like adding a basilisk. Swift, no. There's another ability which gives it like combat reflexes times 2. But as a swift action, it can use a Gaze attack, it causes confusion within 30 feet. If it looks at you, it's a fortitude 23. So the paladin is gonna do it, and some of your high fortitude saves, but it's gonna confuse your spellcasters and get wrecked spellcasters essentially. This is a compulsion effect. It's Constitution based, so if you want to bring it up, you bring up as con. About that. Combat reflexes. It gets another little combat reflex thing. As a swift action, it can make a single attack with its bite, claw, or tail slap. It can't do it the same round it charges, and it's gonna charge. It's nice. It's really nice. But that, I think that's pretty nice because it basically gives it its combat reflexes, which is Dex is +5, so it has 6, 7 with lash out. Basically, it has it has essentially an extra attack of opportunity, or it can just hit you back if you do something stupid, even though it's a swift action, which can only be done on your turn. Let's see. Going back up, so we've talked about it has Rake and Rend. That's pretty nice. It has Pounce, so it can charge and do all of its attacks, Rake and Rend. If it hits you with everything, you're taking 1d8 +7 4 times, and then 1d8 +10 twice, which hurts a lot. Its stats are okay. It's got an intelligence of 2, so it's just stupid as crap. But who cares? It's got a +32 grapple, so it's probably grabbing you, and you're probably not getting out considering it has a 43 CMD. Like I said, it has bleeding critical, combat reflexes, it has critical focus, improved critical claws and quills. It has improved initiative, the Iron Will feats, it has skill focus stealth. And tiring critical. So that's this guy's built correctly. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Kind of looks like less of a beaver in that picture. It kind of looks more like a weird raccoon skunk
thing. If you've watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, that weasel thing that lady rides that hunts stuff down, the bounty hunter lady.
Skills. Its skills are pretty freaking great. So it has +29 when jumping with acrobatics. Normally it's a 17. As a climb +15, but as a climbs check. So perception +26. It's probably going to see you. Besides the fact that it has blind sense and scent. Stealth +15 in general. In the forest where it lives, it's a huge magical beast. It has +23. So unless you've got the all-seeing guy walking around with you, Eagle Eyes Malone, you may not see it if it goes ahead and gets on with its roll and it gets pretty high. You're not going to see it at all probably. It has a pretty cool tracking thing. We'll talk about that in a second. And then it has some abilities. So bounding charge, we talked about it. It ignores difficult terrain. It has critical on its quills and its tail slap. It has a gaze attack. It has that lash out. It has pain. So pain, whenever it hits with its tail slap or quills or quill defense, which we'll talk about right now. Who cares? Any creature that strikes it. So it has a reactive attack against non-ranged melee weapons. Unarmed strike and natural weapons takes 1d8 +4 damage, piercing damage from the quills. So and then you suffer from pain. It's a DC 24 reflex save, or a quill lodges in your flesh, causing you to become sickened until it's removed. It's a DC 20 heal check. To remove it as a full round action, for every 5 by which the check exceeds the DC, one additional quill can be removed. So if you punch it multiple times, you have multiple quills, and if you get a 30, you can remove 3 quills, essentially. On a failed check,
this would be horrible for Enderling.
Yeah,
this is giving me flashbacks to the Death Worm really hard. I really like this. You guys, you did way more research than I did. Well done, gentlemen. Jesus, these are really good.
So on a failed check, it deals even more damage. You remove it, and you're not sickened, but you take another 1d8 +4. And the DC can be upped by Dex, which is weird, but whatever. You can't banish it. I don't know why you would try. It's a magical beast, but it never gains the extra planar subtype, so I guess you could put it on I don't know, you can put it on the plane of fire, and it'd be what the fuck is this doing here? We don't care. You can't banish it. Quills. So it can unleash a volley of its quills for like basically like a shotgun of 4 big quills. This range is 300 feet with no range increment. All targets must be within 30 feet of each other. So it just gets a big old flechette shotgun that makes people sickened.
Gross. Suddenly we're better out of a manticore than the manticore is. That's really good.
And it has relentless tracker, and I'll talk about that. It can move double its speed without penalty using survival checks, which is really nice. It can chase you down, and I'll talk about that when I talk about encounters we construct around our creatures. So enough about him. We're going back, and we're going to wait for D20 to stop having its shit fit. Come on. Internet, please. Thank you. So I said at the beginning to these guys I was going to talk about the leg spider, but then I decided the Kraglenorm, because I'm indecisive. Indifices. So the reason I chose the Kraglenorm really is just because I like Linorms, and I like the Linorm Kings. I believe he's the first Linorm we see. I think he is. He starts at CR14, immense wingless dragon, serpentine body, triple tail, powerful talons.
Holy cow, this guy's gargantuan.
Yeah. So these guys are like the first. These guys are like classic. So the dragons we think of in D&D are like Franco, Anglo-French dragons with 4 stupid arms and their big old fat bodies and their wings. These guys are like classic, like Central and Eastern European, the Germanic and Slavic dragons. These guys look more like dogs, I guess. Yeah.
They fit. These fit better for Native American than those big four-legged dragons.
So like these guys are the kind of guys you see. I think in Beowulf it'd be more of a wyvern that Beowulf fought there at the end. But this is probably more like everyone thinks of like the Anglo-French dragon, like St. Peter slays the dragon kind of dragon. Now these guys are like big old floppy dog things. It's weird. But they're really cool. So yeah, this guy is Chaotic Evil Gargantuan.
Yes. I definitely see it have a freedom of movement, which is pretty. And then poison, that's a pretty good DC 24.
Yeah, DC 24. I'll talk about that in a second, though. It has dark vision, low light vision, sense. So it has true seeing, which makes up for the fact that it isn't a true dragon with its blind sense. Well, it is a true dragon, but like the Anglo-French dragons and their blind sense, this guy has true seeing. So you might be able to like sneak around him like normally and like hide from him. But if you're like just trying to go invisible, he's probably still going to see you if you're not like trying to hide behind something. He has the same AC as the Bandersnatch, which is why I think the Bandersnatch, the lesser one, should be CR like 14 or 15 because it's crazy. His flat-footed is slightly better. His touch is poop. It's 10. Anyone can hit a 10. He has an absolutely immense amount of HP. That is just ridiculous in my opinion. That's about 300. I think that is like around like in the 380s. I'm not trying to calculate it right now because I did calculate it before. And he has regeneration 10 over cold iron because again he's related to Fafnir in the first world. Really nice fort reflex will saves because he's a dragon. He has freedom of movement like Donald pointed out. He is DR 15 over cold iron. So I imagine a lot of maybe at this point people have the ability to get over cold iron, but if they don't, it's going to be a real son of a bitch to try and get rid of because that regeneration and that DR really stacks up, and the fact that the Anglo-French dragons don't have them really makes up for it. He's immune to curse effects fire because he's one of the one of the fire Linorms, mind affecting effects, paralysis, poison, sleep. He has spell resistance. He's a dragon. Speed on the ground of 40 feet. He has a fly speed of 100 average, and he has a swim speed, which you don't see all that often on dragons. It's nice. So if you're hiding in like a fjord, he's gonna come down there and kick your ass. His attacks, he's a dragon again. We're talking about dragons. It's Dungeons and Dragons. It's Pathfinder. He's got pretty nice attacks. He's got 4 attacks, just like the Bandersnatch. He doesn't have pounce. He should have pounce, I feel like, because dragons are big old ultra predators. He has a space of 20 feet, a reach of 20 feet, which again is why the Bandersnatch should be like CR15 in my opinion, because they also have that and they're just huge. He has breath weapon, a constrict, so he can grapple you and do constrict damage on you with his tail, which is pretty nice. Most dragons don't have that, and he has a thing called Death Curse, which I'll talk about in a second. Again, his actual stats, he's built right. He's a dragon. He's beyond CR10, so he's built right with blind fight, cleave, combat reflexes, improved bull rush, improved critical, improved initiative, lightning reflexes, power attack. It's really nice. He's built correctly. You could probably replace, I don't know, improved bull rush in my opinion with Furious Focus, just to make that power attack a little better, because you really just need improved bull rush in my opinion. He's gargantuan. If he gets you with the tail slap, he's picking you up and throwing you across the cavern, or he's drowning you in the fjords. He has a perception of 22, a swim plus 38, but he already has a swim speed, so who cares? He speaks Aklo, Draconic, and Sylvan. It's a little weird, but he's a dragon. Again. His breath weapon. So these guys spew magma, which is a bit different. They 15d8 points of fire damage to all creatures, DC 24 reflex. I think it's a little bit better than the normal, like the normal dragons you deal with, like the chromatic and the metallic dragons, because these guys they kind of leave a sticky residue behind. So creatures that took damage on the first round take 66 fire damage if you failed. So, well, anyone, if you took damage, unless you're a rogue, which good luck. So, yeah, you take 66, and then it gets kind of confusing. If it was expelled while he was airborne, it instead rains down during the second round as a sheet of fire. No more than 60 feet high, that does 66, reflex 24, to any creature that passes through it. On the third line, it cools to a thin layer of brittle stone that quickly degrades to powder and sand over the course of several hours. The magma that's turned into a sheet of fire is consumed entirely during the second round, leaving behind only a stain of smoke in the air that swiftly disperses, and the DC can be upped by upping its constitution. So I kind of like that he has a more versatile breath weapon. It kind of reminds me of the breath weapon from the variant Clockwork Dragons, which I'm definitely talking about when we get to CR19. One thing that's common and unique to Little Worms is Death Curse. So if you kill it, you have to succeed a DC 22 will save, which I think should be like 32 because it's a Death Curse. You killed it, but you're now vulnerable to fire. So up at Charisma, up at Jesus, or just give it a random plus 10 to its DCs because screw the PCs.
Well, I mean, it's a dragon. It'll have a horde, right? Won't it have a headband of alluring charisma around its horns or something, you know?
Oh, yeah. It definitely will. So you give it that, and that DC is going to go up, and then guess what? You're vulnerable to fire. So I don't remember how you get rid of Death Curses. You have to do something like, well, you can cast Remove Curse on it, but I feel like you should do something crazier.
Yeah, probably a wish spell could
or a quest.
Yeah.
Come on, a quest.
It's got to be a quest.
Jeez, let's not relegate ourselves to casting spells. And then lastly, he has a poison. When he bites you, it's DC 24. You take best for 1d10 rounds. It's 2d6 fire damage and 1d4 con drain, which is way better than most poisons you ever see. It's Constitution based if you want to bring it up to a more, well, it's already respectable, but even higher. Like your pallies are making it, and your fort dudes are making it probably. But like if your wizard gets bit, it's gonna fail. Probably because the story wants him to fail. But and yeah,
Man,
yeah,
I'd
that's
hunt this
it.
thing.
That's talking about Bandersnatch.
If I was a
Go ahead,
poison
go ahead.
user, I would hunt this thing down just for the poison. Man,
Befriend the bejesus out of it.
yeah.
It's chaotic evil. You gotta be chaotic evil to do it. But come on, like it'd probably just eat you. Frankly,
Or
so you're
you
better
could
off
make a
killing
deal
it.
with
But
it. You could make a deal with it. I mean,
yeah, you could.
maybe you work for it, and you're like, no, my patron is a Lindorm. I bring him tribute, and we have a working relationship. I bring him tribute. He gives me, poison. Of course,
Probably
it's
if you're
only
like
got an int of 5, so
yeah, it's the weakest of its kind. They're not the most intelligent, but it'd probably like you if you're like a Surf Nevlin or something like that. If you're like some sort of like Fey, like chaotic evil Fey, it'd probably be like okay. But the other Linorms are, I think, far more intelligent. So I'll
Yeah.
definitely talk about them because I really like the Linorms.
The thing when it came to low intelligent chaotic creatures is, unless if you know them pretty well, you can be friends with them to a certain extent, unless they cannot be reasoned with.
you can always be buddies. Yeah, let's just. Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? I'm not sure they'd enjoy that. But
Murder the townspeople.
so,
Friends with a dragon.
all right.
Befriending dragons do have their benefits.
All right, that finishes us up, guys, for this time of CR13 and 14. Does anybody have anything they want to say before we sign out today? No. Oh.
No, I'm good. I think we've said everything we needed to say. I guess I'll throw it out here because I didn't get a chance to throw it out in the recordings that I made this week, and it'll come out before my Friday one. That there will be a new episode of Min-Maxing for Fun and Profit this Thursday. We're covering what are we covering? War Priest optimization. We're going to talk about how to pray to your god and shoot people with your bow. It's going to be super sweet. And Thursday at 4 is when it drops.
Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you, travelers, for coming again to the end of Planar Crossroads and sitting down and listening with us. We hope you enjoyed the conversation, and we hope to see you next time. As always, have a great day. God bless, and enjoy. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.